Being an Anglophile and a history nerd, I am very excited about the upcoming series, King and Conqueror. Produced by CBS Studios and the BBC, the show follows the historical Battle of Hastings, a pivotal event in English history, which was fought by the Saxon king, Harold Godwin's son, and the Norman invader, William the Conqueror. Although many English schoolchildren grew up learning about the infamous battle that changed the country's history, this is the first time that the event has been brought to life on screen. If you love historical drama series as much as I do, and were obsessed with shows like The Great and Mary and George, King and Conqueror may be right up your alley. From the info that has been released about King and Conqueror so far, including the writer, directors, and a massive cast of talented performers, it looks like the TV series is going to be an event to remember. King and Conqueror latest news. Actor James Norton said that shooting was brutal. As reported by Deadline in February 2025, filming for King and Conqueror began in Iceland earlier this year. The site also mentions that James Norton attended the London screenings to discuss the series, where he described some of the shooting process. "I was covered in mud and blood and layers of leather, it was a brutal shoot," Norton said. The actor and executive producer of the series went on to talk about director Baltasar Kormaker's directing style in the first episode. He had a very clear vision around the tone and the aesthetic. From the very beginning he wanted to avoid this being a clean, cozy period drama, Norton said. He also mentioned how the director prioritized authenticity, especially when it came to period-accurate costumes. While there is no official release date as of yet, we do know that King and Conqueror is slated to premiere sometime in 2025. King and Conqueror confirmed. The series will air on BBC in 2025. Nikolai Coster-Waldau as William the Conqueror in armor, with sword and shield, on a battlefield with soldiers. The King and Conqueror series was confirmed by BBC in November 2023. At the time, the only cast members announced were James Norton and Nikolai Coster-Waldau, but many others have been confirmed since then. Along with performing in the series, Norton and Coster-Waldau are also credited as executive producers. Norton's production company, Rabbit Track Pictures, is also involved. BBC reported that Coster-Waldau also directed one of the episodes. Also produced by CBS Studios, the show was written by Michael Robert Johnson, and the first episode was directed by Baltasar Kormaker. The series will premiere on BBC One and BBC iPlayer, and will have a total of 8 episodes. King and Conqueror cast. James Norton and Nikolai Coster-Waldau lead a diverse cast. Emily Beecham as Edith Swanneck pouring a pitcher next to a seated Luther Ford as Tostig. Because King and Conqueror takes place during a time of upheaval and massive reform in English history, the show's cast is made up of actors from a variety of diverse backgrounds. While fans of British TV are likely to recognize some famous names, the cast list is also made up of actors from France, Italy, and Denmark. James Norton and Nikolai Coster-Waldau headline as the stars of King and Conqueror, playing Harold, Earl of Wessex, and William, Duke of Normandy, respectively. Norton has been an active presence in British TV and cinema for several years, though many may recognize him from Greta Gerwig's Little Women as John Brooke, and Game of Thrones fans will instantly know Coster-Waldau as the suave and arrogant Jaime Lannister. English actor Eddie Marsan plays King Edward the Confessor, the Anglo-Saxon king who later became one of the national saints of England. Marsan's career spans over decades of movies and TV, and he has most recently appeared in the BBC series Reunion. Emily Beecham plays Edith Swanneck, the wife of Harold, and Clemence Poesy is Matilda, William's wife. Juliet Stevenson, Luther Ford, Jean-Marc Barr, Joseph Mall, Bjorn Henriksen, Jeff Bell, Claire Holman, and several others round out the cast. King and Conqueror story details. The series is based on the historical Battle of Hastings. Leo Legrand, Clemence Poesy, and Oliver Mascucci sitting at a table in period costume. The story of King and Conqueror takes place in England and France in the early 12th century. Harold Godwin's son, the brother-in-law of King Edward, is named the heir to the throne of England, as Edward never had any children. However, William of Normandy contests Harold's claim, insisting that the crown was previously promised to him. Things get even more complicated, as William isn't King Harold's only competition. His brother, Tostig, and King Harold of Norway also have their eyes on the English throne. It may sound like something out of Game of Thrones, but King and Conqueror is actually based on important figures in British history. The dispute culminated in a massive battle on English soil, the Battle of Hastings in 1066, which resulted in a victory for the Normans, and would forever change the country's history. What King and Conqueror actor James Norton has said about the show. James Norton was originally going to play William the Conqueror. James Norton as King Harold in King and Conqueror, sitting on a throne and wearing a crown. Being both star and executive producer of King and Conqueror, James Norton was naturally very excited about the project. Yet there was a world in which Norton might have played his rival, William, instead of King Harold. In 2024, Norton revealed that he originally was eyeing the part of William the Conqueror for himself, but his role in HBO's The Nevers caused an obstacle. HBO said very clearly, "You can go and shoot King and Conqueror, especially considering you're an EP and you're developing it, but you must die," Norton said during a UK panel, via Variety. That's what often happens with actors' contracts. You're allowed to do small, piecemeal, miniseries, limited, but you're not allowed to commit to anything which has risk of going on. So my arm was forced. The insinuation was that if King and Conqueror were to become popular enough to warrant a second season, Norton would be in breach of his contract with HBO. Ironically, The Nevers was cancelled by the cable network in 2023. Despite taking on a different role in King and Conqueror, Norton's passion for the historical drama has been a driving force. In an interview with Collider in 2024, Norton spoke about his fascination with the history and important figures that inspired the series.